history. Don't know much biology.
Inherent Vice is a film by Paul Thomas Anderson, adapted from a novel by Thomas Pynchon. It's about the investigations of private investigator Doc Sportello, played by Joaquin Phoenix, as he is asked to look into several different cases. Those cases include protecting Mickey Wolfman from being abducted and put in an insane asylum, finding Glenn Sharlock, who owes one of his customers some money, and finding Coy Harlingen, who is missing husband of another one of his customers. As you can tell, this is a movie that has a lot of ideas, and as such gets a bit confusing from time to time. I didn't even list all the other different plot lines that happen. This in part is why I don't particularly like this movie that much. I'm a big fan of Anderson's films, and a couple of his movies are ones that I consider some of my all-time favorites. However, this is easily his worst production. The plot is very convoluted, and as such really relies on its performances, and even those aren't as spellbinding as you'd want them to be. People seem to really praise Phoenix's performance, but I thought he was one of the weakest ones. He seemed to mumble his lines the whole time and didn't really react to the world around him in very realistic or even very interesting ways. That seemed to be the theme of the characters in this movie. There were really only a couple performances that stood out to me, that of Josh Brolin, Reese Witherspoon, and Martin Sheen. They were all equal parts entertaining and believable as characters. The rest of the actors seemed to be either trying too hard or not trying hard enough. Most baffling of all was the narration by Joanna Newsom's character. It seemed to lend this hokey vibe to it, and made the whole film feel a bit too retro in its delivery. That brings me to the main problem I have with this film and Anderson's directing in general. It's become too much style over not enough substance. The same feeling came upon me when I saw The Master a few years ago, and I worry that Paul Thomas Anderson is becoming too wrapped up in his own directing style. His earlier movies were much more unique stories with interesting characters shaped by his style. Now it feels like his directing style is carrying the characters and the plot suffers because of it. Even though this comes up a bit short for me, it's still enjoyable enough not to be too frustrating. Many people will find these characters all lovable in their own way, but they don't do it for me. It remains true that I'd rather have an average Paul Thomas Anderson movie than another stupid young adult adaptation, but I hope he doesn't lose sight of his original style. I like this movie enough, and I'm gonna give it a C+. Thank you for watching.